Hello and welcome to DigFin VOX, Voices in Digital Finance. I'm your host, Jame DiBiasio. If you enjoy the program, give us a like, share, subscribe. I've got a double header of guests today, Amanda Cassatt and Caroline York, both from Serotonin, a relatively new digital marketing expert in the realm of crypto, AI, and other emerging technologies. I spoke with Amanda and Caroline about how financial institutions are navigating this new world of crypto, memes, AI, and financial services through narrative. Amanda Cassatt and Caroline York, welcome to DigFin VOX.
Thanks for having us. Great to see you.
So,
Right back at you.
yeah, okay, great to see you guys. And I'm excited. I'm sure I'm going to see you soon in the flesh because we're recording this about a week before Consensus, the big blockchain extravaganza, rolls into Hong Kong. So that should be fun. And this will be an opportunity for lots of people to be telling all kinds of narratives. And you guys are, I guess, specialists in the narrative business, particularly when it comes to crypto and technologies in general. So I'd love to speak with you about what's happening in some of these spaces through the lens that you guys bring from Serotonin doing digital marketing. So Amanda, where does this podcast find you today?
In Hong Kong.
You're in Hong Kong now. Okay. And are you based anywhere in particular, or do you just sort of float on an airplane?
I've been spending a lot of time here in Hong Kong, spending a lot more time in Asia this year, really building out serotonin globally. We started in the States and then grew a big team in Europe, and Asia is really our frontier. So we've been settling in, and I'm super happy that Caroline joined us this year.
Great. And Caroline and I, of course, we interact with each other in Hong Kong quite a bit. We're both involved in the FinTech Association here. And Caroline, of course, you are on the chair of the one of the our committees on Web3 and blockchain. So again, give us just a quick introduction to yourself that I haven't already filled in.
Mhm. Well, very happy to be joining Serotonin and trying to push forward all the interesting tech. We're going really, really deep into the Web3 world, and I think Hong Kong is really the great place to be. In terms of background, I mean, we've got the fintech aspect of it, we've got the interesting Web3 kind of cultural NFT entertainment aspect of it, and so this is a perfect kind of marriage of the two, and that's why we're speaking to you today.
All right, great. Well, thank you so much for your time. So, Amanda, you founded this company. Just give us a quick background into what you've been doing before Serotonin and the mission of the business.
So I started working in crypto around the dawn of time, circa 2015, was on the fairly early Ethereum team as the marketing gal, ended up as chief marketing officer at Consensus, and that's Consensus with a Y, not Consensus the event,
The
the
Ethereum
software
business.
studio that promoted Ethereum and that built foundational products for that ecosystem like MetaMask. And then after that, realized that our team had done so many product launches, token launches, growth campaigns throughout the Web3 ecosystem. We wanted to take what we'd perfected to a broader group of projects. So started Serotonin just over 4 years ago now. It's now almost 100 people worldwide and growing, especially here in Asia.
Okay, well, congratulations on that. Um, your website is minimalist. It's very cool, but it basically talks about representing emerging technologies. So, besides crypto, are there other emerging technologies on your bucket list?
Yeah, so what we really learned how to do in crypto is building ecosystems around new ideas. And we're branching out from crypto and Web3 into the industries that it's adjacent to right now. And so that means on one side, biotech, and there's this incredible decentralized science or DeSci movement at this intersection of blockchain tech and biotech. And so we've worked with projects there like BioXYZ, super cool. They're solving all these different medical funding issues outside of the traditional system. And then on the other side, we're seeing Web3 start to intersect another breakthrough technology industry, which is AI. And that's happening in a couple of different ways. We're seeing the rise of something called DePIN, so decentralized physical infrastructure projects, such as decentralized compute platforms for running AI in like a dispersed system across many different computers instead of a centralized computer, and other DePIN applications. And we're also seeing the rise of AI agents launching their own tokens, AI agents trading on behalf of people in crypto. And there's a lot of thought that AIs being natively digital, born in this digital world, that the currency that's the most logical for them to use and maybe even to hold themselves is going to be crypto. So we're there as those worlds are emerging.
Okay, great. So I often think of DigFin as sort of that bridge between, let's say, in this case, the crypto side or the fintech or the innovation side and the traditional financial services world where the innovation may not happen, but it needs to be applied or responded to in some way. What level of interaction are you at in your world? You've been doing this now for 10 years. Are we at a point where the lines between the innovation and the decentralized and the sort of very individualistic world of crypto and these other adjacencies is meeting the institutional space, or are you still seeing them as fairly distinct?
So I think this is really the first cycle where the institutions have actually come on board. And this has kind of been a white whale for people in our space for a long time. When are the institutions coming? When are the institutions coming? And I think with regulatory clarity finally feeling close at hand in the US, and with the asset tokenization pushes that we're seeing from BlackRock, Franklin Templeton, Apollo, our client, Van Eck, another of our clients, PayPal, another of our clients, Robinhood, really stepping up their crypto business. We've been working with more institutions and we've been seeing more institutions coming into the space. They're coming for a few things. An obvious one is asset tokenization. People in crypto tend to call this RWAs, or real world assets, which means any kind of asset that exists off-chain. So that could be real estate, it could be publicly traded stock, it could be privately held equity, it could even be, you could consider stable coins as RWAs because they're tokenized fiat, they're tokenized dollars. And so the estimates are that it could be, a 2 trillion market according to McKinsey, a $16 trillion market according to BCG for these tokenized assets. Larry Fink from BlackRock has said that everything is going to get tokenized and come on chain, and they're really putting their money where their mouth is. We have like 200 billion today in stable coins. So we're really seeing this business of tokenization booming. And then we're also seeing institutions really starting to use stable coins. So stable coins are much faster and in some cases cheaper than ACH and SWIFT. And so they're going to end up revolutionizing, especially the speed of clearing and settlement for all of these different kinds of tokenized assets, whether they're natively on-chain assets or RWAs that were brought on-chain. It's just faster, it's just cheaper. It's better to have this shared ledger that everybody can agree on rather than a bunch of different ledgers in different places. So I think those are going to be the two big ones for institutions. It's stable coins, clients of ours like PayPal launching a stable coin, and then it's RWAs or real assets coming on chain.
So thanks for that. It's a great summary of many of the things that have been talked about. I know Caroline and the work she's doing. This is an ongoing conversation here and everywhere. What I'd like to get from you is, because of your specialization as digital marketing, there's something about the crypto world, particularly the meme coins, where narrative is so intrinsic to making any of these things work. You can interpret that in a benign fashion, or in a cynical one. But nonetheless, it seems much more important than in a traditional market's product development cycle. So when you work with whether it's Van Eck or PayPal or a traditional, what is the way that you're finding traditional institutions can grapple with this world of memes. What is a meme, and how can old fogey institutions be part of this in a way that is also compliant and responsible?
Absolutely. So just to date and time us right now, we had a bunch of meme coins crash over the past weeks, and people are saying the meme cycle is over. But memetics, the idea that storytelling and narrative is a big deal, that's been present in our space from day one in crypto. And you can also say, that's also present in traditional markets, even though people don't call it that. It's really easy to label this with memes, narratives, that culture, because a lot of this happens online. And memes are, being exchanged between people online. But actually, this word meme comes from like Greek or Latin, I don't remember which, but it's been an idea forever that there are these little packages of verbal and visual that move around groups. And so we've had that forever. We can just really identify it very easily, how it impacts everything in crypto. So I think this has always been a part of all markets. What we do with our institutional clients when they're getting into crypto is we want to make sure that they're speaking with a voice that's informed, that's authentic. I think a lot of crypto natives are excited about institutions coming in and validating what we in crypto have long believed, saying, yeah, we believe in crypto, saying we're excited about crypto. You can see the memo that we worked with our clients at PayPal to write, announcing that they were going to be launching a stable coin and really voicing their support for a lot of the values of crypto. You can see Van Eck's incredible DGen Twitter account, where they're really playing on this juxtaposition between having this storied TradFi brand and being super DGen on crypto Twitter. You can see some of what Franklin Templeton's been doing on Twitter. And I think there's a way to segment. So audiences on Twitter are really crypto native. They really resonate with these memes. And then when you talk to Bloomberg, feel free to, button up your shirt and wear a tie. So I think it can all be segmented. We can have projects that we work with singing from the same hymnal, having their messaging be consistent, but really applying it to different channels to reach their different audiences.
And Caroline, let's get you in this conversation. I've been sorry to keep you on ice there, but I wanted to just get Amanda's take first. You are operating in the Asian ecosystem. Uh, from a culture point of view, banks or other financial institutions here tend to be much more conservative, and they usually are not first movers in anything. Uh, what are you finding in terms of their willingness to engage in the way that Amanda's described with some of her clients in the US? Um, what are you having conversations with these financial institutions, and what are you getting from what the way they're responding to this, and how they're being able to change the way they do business?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, Jame. Actually, the FinTech Association would be the perfect kind of microcosm of what's happening, right? We have a bunch of TradFi, so we have Citibank in it, HSBC in it, Standard Charter. They're all part of that ecosystem, and yet each of them have their own kind of venture arm. Each of them have an incubation lab or a test lab, right, where they
Yeah.
can actually try out these ideas. So actually, what I'm seeing is there's a lot of adventurous kind of risk taking in small doses, in controlled environments. And they definitely notice that this technology, the blockchain technology and decentralized technology, will in some way power the future of finance. They're just seeing how they can integrate this into their current tech stack, right? Something that would make sense because we can't have everything being absolutely transparent at this moment in time. It would probably be a more of a permission-based chain, right? They're playing around with tokenized bonds. They're playing around with tokenized ETFs. I think the long and short of it is we thought they were traditionally very conservative, but it feels like the generation, at least in these past couple of years, have really picked up speed, and they realize if they don't catch on now and if they don't hop on this train, it's much, much too late if they come through 5 years later and down the line. So
What
I
is
would say,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry, please finish your thought.
yeah, so I would just say like in terms of adoption of new technology, you're not seeing it on mainstream yet fully. You know, the adoption for the Web2 people coming on board, utilizing that tech, it's not fully there yet. But I think with all the institutions coming on board, you'll eventually see it. In fact, you might not even see it. It will be so seamless that we will just go about our days and all the blockchain tech is just working in the background for us.
Yeah. So there's two aspects to this blockchain world, which you kind of highlighted there, Caroline. One is that we've got the retail facing degen trading meme side of crypto, and then the other, which is infrastructure. It's plumbing. It's a better mousetrap for sending stuff and between counterparties and so on. So, do you have a sense of which of these worlds? Obviously, they can both coexist. They do. But for your purposes, are these the same business? Are you talking to the same people, or are they very different animals? And from Serotonin's point of view, you want to focus more on the retail facing side.
We really
Actually,
do all of you. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I was gonna say actually we do both, but you also see a kind of a slight integration as well. I think one of the case studies we love exploring is that of Monad, right? They have such a strong degen community, but at the
Mhm.
same time, their infrastructure and plumbing, as you call it, is definitely institutional grade, right? How are they able to merge that kind of crypto native degen speech on X, have a community that is very, very active? And very engaged as well, and have that kind of translate across to having different banks wanting to work with them, different financial institutions working with them. I think that is where we're seeing a kind of mixture of TradFi, DeFi, or maybe even like millennial and Gen Z, boomers and whatnot, all the generations kind of mixed together.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Peace and love. Amanda, what's the way that you see? I mean, I wanted to go back to this question of some of the institutions that you're working with. You cited some of your clients and so on, but how are they changing in terms of responding to the rise of DeFi as a way of transacting and of understanding what a counterparty is? Um, do you have a sense of the lessons that are being let me put it this way, what works within an institution that may not necessarily be required, may not be the same way they do things in a traditional way if they're adopting Web3 products or services or processes. But what may not work for them that you could get away with in degen land? Are you seeing a bifurcation, or is it more just a question of pace as they adopt different ways of doing things?
Yeah, so I'll make a point about one aspect of this. Aave, which are close friends and partners of ours at Serotonin, their UX is amazing.
Mhm.
They're one of the largest DeFi protocols. You go, you supply your ETH, your USDC, whatever it is, and you can make yield back. Similarly, you can very easily borrow and get some leverage and go out and do something in your crypto trading. The UX for using Aave is easier for me to use as a mid-millennial than a bank. And I can tell you, the infrastructure for using a bank is really hard for me. It's
Mhm.
very annoying. You have to fax a form, you have to get on a call with this person, you have to submit your ID to this, you have to go through this verification, especially traveling as much as I do, being in different countries, trying to pay friends back for dinner is a mess. And so people complain about the UX in crypto. People sometimes complain about the UX in DeFi. But the point that I want to make is that for millennials, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, or even anybody that's used to these kinds of platforms, it's actually way easier to use than this old school system. And so what I think is happening here is a transformation of how business works. I don't think that the people creating the value in this generation are going to wait in lines, are going to get things notarized, are going to fax things in. That's not how things work. Things are going to work natively on chain. Code is going to be law. Things are going to move at the actual speed of business. And I think that institutions are going to be updating their usability in order to be the choice for the individuals that are creating the value. And I think they're going to be inspired by DeFi in how they do this.
Let's talk a minute about the AI component on this. This is still pretty fresh, but when it comes to AI agents, I understand that in a purely digital environment, it might be a lot easier to create an agent, write that program, and have it begin to act for you. How easily will that translate into a world of let's say online and offline, a world of physical services, and also a world with compliance and a sense that I don't want to be sued if, who's going to get the blame if something goes wrong? If I'm an institution, I'm probably going to get the blame one way or the other. So they're going to be a little extra cautious. What are you finding in terms of where that usage of this idea of agents, which is still so nascent, where do you see that headed?
Ah, the old blame hot potato.
Mm.
There's a famous quote from, I think this was from IBM a really long time ago, which is a machine can't be in charge because a machine can't be held responsible for a decision. And I think that institutions might end up being slower adopting AI because they're worried about liability. But those are exactly the cracks and the fissures through which small startups eventually grow and replace big institutions, right? That's the innovator's dilemma. It's the asymmetric risk tolerance of the institution versus the startup. And this is why we'll always keep on serving startups, helping them actually break through into these paradigms, and also institutions helping them break through, and also startups that are actually breaking through those cracks. And so a smaller group that isn't as worried about something like that is just going to think, how do I create value? How do I use one of these things? And an institution is going to have to figure out all of those issues. So that's the advantage. And we just have big monopolies if that wasn't the case, right? The other thing I'd say is the whole AI agent thing and AI coding is an absolutely enormous breakthrough. I think like what the internet did to content creation, it completely democratized it. It made anyone be able to become a content creator. Then what crypto did to entrepreneurship totally democratized it and enabled anyone to permissionlessly anywhere outside of Silicon Valley become an entrepreneur. That's what AI is doing to coding, programming. And whether that's programming your AI to do things on your behalf, whether it's programming a whole team of 100 workers to do research for me constantly, or to go out and trade for me and run algos, I think we're just unlocking the creativity of all of the human beings that weren't able to program before with AI. And I think a lot of what those people are going to want to do is going to be in crypto because it's easier for AIs to hold crypto, to sign a crypto transaction, than to go through all these funny forms and KYCs and bells and whistles of the old school UX.
When ChatGPT first went public about 2 years ago, I remember speaking with lots of people about just what they thought it could mean for themselves, for their businesses, and the first thing that everybody said, and of course I laughed at this a little bit, but the first thing they said is, "Of course, this means we could just get rid of the whole marketing team." Because if you're not in marketing, that was the obvious thing. Oh, I could just have this LLM write my stuff or create my media. But of course, you guys are in the marketing game. So what's the nuance there? Why aren't you suddenly being displaced? And what does that suggest about other kinds of services?
Here's what's happening. There is a K-shaped split happening in the value of human labor. The most specialized, highest intelligence, highest capability, highest drive people, their work has never been more valuable because they have tools at their disposal that they could never have imagined before, wildly increasing their productivity, wildly increasing their amount of value contribution to an organization. On the flip side, people with more commoditized skill sets, more common skill sets, or smaller skill sets, or people that aren't obsessed with learning new tools, the value of their labor is going down. And so what we've seen at Serotonin, since we've spent so long curating the very best people who are obsessed with this subject matter, who are obsessed with these tools, and who are really knowledgeable about what they're doing and masters of their craft, we've seen crazy productivity gains across the board. The actual quality of the work that we're able to deliver has gotten way better. Our margins, frankly, are way up. We've had some of the best months that we've ever had. And we're starting to standardize across the team how we use these technologies. Now, do I think that these kinds of benefits are going to apply to everyone in the market? No. On the other side of that K-shaped distribution, I think people are going to have a lot of trouble, frankly. But I think that AI and LLMs are ultimately going to enhance productivity and work to grow GDP almost like electricity. So when electricity was invented, it's not like all of the money suddenly went to power companies and no other kind of company could grow and retain value. All of the different companies that benefited from lighting, from having lights, from having electricity, they all were able to grow. And yeah, there was this new category that was created, power companies, and a lot of them did very well too. I think it's going to look a lot like that. I think AI is going to electric power a lot of different kinds of companies, including ours, including a lot of different software companies, and a few select high-end service providers like us. And so we're really positioning ourselves to ride that wave and to use all of these tools to be as helpful and supportive as we can to our clients' growth.
Well, last question I want to ask to Caroline. Um, you and I are in Hong Kong, and we've seen over the past 2 to 3 years the way that Hong Kong in particular, but also other parts of the region, Singapore, Dubai, a little further away from us, have opened up and positioned themselves in the crypto space in a way that the United States was not. Um, it seemed like there was a window of opportunity. Now the U.S. seems to have gone a complete 180 on this with the Trump administration. And so much bigger market and perhaps more opportunities for things like deepen, which requires a certain structure that I haven't seen in Hong Kong that may not make it as easily applicable. So long-winded question, but what I want to ask really is very simple. In Hong Kong, what is the advantage now to being in a place like this or in Singapore when the United States is now kind of all in on digital assets and crypto?
Okay, I would say one, capital. We still have a lot of capital outflow from all of the other APAC regions, and Hong Kong is still the number one capital market here in APAC, right? So that would be A. The other one is accessibility to the other APAC regions. So we keep underestimating how strategic it is actually to be based somewhere in Asia. I mean, granted, the world is global, but a lot of the times when your clients are based in certain time zones, they just want to work with people in set time zones. Um, and so what I've noticed is a lot of the clients are still coming through to Asia because they want to tap into markets, let's say China. But
Mhm.
China, what for, right? Like it's actually for the builders in there, right? There is actually, a smattering of traders around as well, but that would be one of the key markets. And to be honest, yes, crypto trading is not necessarily the most popular thing right now in mainland China, but there are a lot of kind of interest within the blockchain technology. So the government is very pleased to be pushing forward technological breakthroughs on that. So
Mhm.
that's one, getting good builders. The other one is also, this is a really good base to then set off into Japan, into Korea, right? The gap of cultural differences is actually just marginally less when you go through Hong Kong, which is still a very international hub. And we have all the other spokes of the Mandarin speaking countries. So even Malaysia, you get a bit of Mandarin speakers over there. You get kind of Mandarin speakers over in Taiwan. So this also positions Hong Kong quite well. Now, in terms of, well, then what, right? It's like, yes, everybody's going to flood back to the States. I think there's a lot of opportunities to be had. And yet, when you're actually looking at user growth, emergent markets is where I truly see crypto taking on a much wider effect and actually being able to exercise its full benefits. We were just having a chat actually with a lot of our, Hong Kong contacts. We're just like, in Hong Kong, generally speaking, when you're looking at payment systems, you would first reach for the octopus. And if the octopus doesn't work, then you reach for the credit card, right?
Mhm.
And if the credit card doesn't work, maybe your Apple Pay. There's so many different payment options. But when you're in an emerging country, say India, say Vietnam, some of the easiest ways for them to actually access payment through right now, it's actually crypto, right?
Mhm.
I've when we went over to the India Blockchain Week, they were actually discussing like how literate, like crypto literate the population or the young population is. And just like how WeChat Pay has taken over China, And in India, you have Grab and other apps that are working through the same veins. You're seeing a certain amount of kind of developed countries, and we're just not adapting almost half as fast as these countries. So Hong Kong is situated in a sea of emerging markets. So I think there is definitely a natural flow through here to understand all the different players in the region. So yeah, I'm still very bullish on this. So yeah, Hong Kong
Yeah.
has a great future ahead.
Well, I expected a good conversation from two people who are in the narrative game and as professional digital marketers. I was not disappointed. So thank you for your time. One sub point. The word meme is actually a portmanteau invented by Richard Dawkins, who wrote about the selfish gene. And so the meme was the idea of a selfish idea, or basically ideas that propagate themselves like a gene would through natural selection, or perhaps other means of selection. But this is a family-friendly program, so I'll leave that with you guys. Thank you so much for joining me on
I
DigFin
will, I
VOX.
will, I will point out though that I think it comes back to ancient Greek, and that Richard Dawkins was a much later he came through and he defined it in his way for his purpose, but the idea is much more ancient and has been around a long time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll slug this one out next week in consensus.
Perfect.
Okay. Terrific. All right. Thank you so much for joining me at DigFin VOX. It's been a pleasure.